Today is no, not November, March 23rd, 2022, and I'm here with Vietnam veteran David White. And here's the story. David, were you drafted or did you enlist?
Drafted.
Drafted. And what year did you get drafted?
What? I graduated from high school in May of '69, and by June 19th I had been drafted.
Okay, where were you sent for boot camp?
San Diego.
And how long were you there for boot camp?
Till February. So I got there November 5th. They gave me a deferral because when I checked in to the recruiting office, I said, "Man, I just graduated, and from school." And I said, "Well, we'll give you a 6-month deferral." And so then November 5th, I went to Chicago to Van Buren Street, and that's where I got inducted.
Okay. So after you did boot camp, did you do any training elsewhere?
Yeah, Jacksonville, Florida, AOA school, Aviation Ordnance.
How long did you do training there?
Till well, I'd say end of September, because then I got 2 weeks vacation, and I had to be out in California. October 27th, 1970. I checked on the USS Ranger.
Okay, what was your rank when you got to the ship?
I was E3.
Yeoman or?
As airman.
Oh, okay. So where were you, when you got in the ship, where were you sent to first?
Well, we were shipped. I got on a ship the 27th, and in the morning of the 28th, we left for Vietnam, the Gulf of Tonkin.
Okay, and how long did it take you to get to Vietnam?
Well, we stopped at Pearl Harbor, and I got to see the ship went by Arizona, and you could see the bubbles of oil coming up out of Arizona, the man monument. So we spent the night there, took on more supplies, and then we took off, and we got to Vietnam probably about, I'd say 4 more days later.
Did you ever get seasick?
No, I did not. But there's guys that did.
So what was your first job when you got to the Vietnam?
Everybody's got to do KP. That's the first thing they put you in the kitchen.
Okay, kitchen. So how was your kitchen duties?
Really, it was all right because you got to eat pretty good.
Make good meals? Yeah,
they fared, it beat the mid-rats, But we ate pretty good. We had real milk till it run out, and then we had powdered milk. And the secret there is have it ice cold, and then it don't taste so bad.
Okay. Well, how long did you do kitchen duty for?
Oh, I think about 6 weeks. I'd say 6 weeks, and then you go back into your division. Well, you were in your division, but you're just doing KP.
Okay, so after kitchen duties, what were you doing next on the ship?
I was guided missiles.
Wow, that must have been interesting to see.
Yes, we had the Strike and the ASROC, and then the one that really was fascinating was the Sidewinder. That's the one that they show on TV. It has a little glass eye, and a pilot tries to outrun that Sidewinder. There's a chance of him outrunning that side. It couldn't be done, but it takes a miracle to outrun a Sidewinder. It's designed. It's got Arions, and it's got little teeny Arions that contradict the big Arions, and it just wobble around till it gets right up to.
Did you have to worry about enemy submarines?
Well, we had a whole fleet of destroyers, and the subs you don't see them because they're underwater.
Yeah.
But we had a cover all the way around us because the carrier is valuable. But Russia, believe it or not, even in Vietnam, they called it Operation Brown Bear. That's Russian, and they would send their spy planes over, and we'd go to general quarters when they'd done that.
And how long were you in general quarters when they came over?
Till it varied, maybe an hour or two till they was out of sight.
Were they doing spying?
Spying.
Okay.
Yeah, they're spy
Recon.
planes. Yeah.
Okay. So how many missiles did you have to deal with? What?
Oh, well, see, we had a double job. We did missiles, and then there's G division, which is the bombs.
Mm-hmm.
But bombs got used by handfuls,
Uh-huh.
And so G division or GM division, which is guided missiles, we would go over and help the G division put bombs together. But missiles, basically, it wasn't a whole lot. I mean, it wasn't like in the hundreds. It was because they're expensive, so they only used them when they had to. But now the air to ground, they used a lot of them. That was just right because they were using that to knock out the.
So when you do with the bombs, did you have to put them on the aircraft or?
No, everybody had a certain job. See,
Okay.
we put the missiles on together, and we put them on the elevator. And of course, the elevator had white, yellow lines, and you had to make sure that the nose of that missile was not beyond them yellow lines, because then when it went up, it'd be a nightmare.
Okay, so you had to get
Everybody,
you're
but
getting
the
ready.
squadrons did their. When it went up to the top of the ship, the squadron had red jackets, green jackets, yellow jackets. Everybody had their, their shirt,
Okay.
and everybody had their job. And like when I worked at the city of Plymouth, they would say, "Well, today you're going to do this." And today you never did that. You always had the same job. That way you get good at it.
Okay. So how long were you on the USS Ranger for?
Okay, I checked in October 70, and 73 I got off in November.
So from 70 to 73, you had different jobs.
Just all guided missiles on the GM division.
How did you do with the guided missiles? Like, how'd you get them ready?
Well, we have a motor, and it depends. Some rockets have like a 55-gallon drum for a motor,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a propellant that's
Yeah.
And like the Sidewinder, you'd have them ready because you had to turn all the little screws, make sure they're all working, and then set the wings at the strike, and that was all just a long thing, and you had to put the cone on it. It was a real hard, porcelain like. You had to put them on, make sure the fins are on, because they come in a metal container, and the metal containers with the missiles were shipped back to the United States, but the bombs come on galvanized pallets, and them all went over the side. I mean, hundreds of them, thousands of them, really.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of over in Vietnam, the waters are polluted because there was at that one time we had. I want to mention the Enterprise was there. That was CVN. That was nuclear.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And she's brand new then. And then when they signed the peace treaty in '73, the America was there. She was a brand new carrier.
Huh. Very very interesting. Did you ever see any plane crashes?
Oh yeah, not a whole lot, but mostly because when you're on the sea, you think when there ain't no there, but it's like a needle in a haystack looking for a pilot.
Mm-hmm.
And they usually had a flare they could shoot up, but sometimes if they couldn't, they got lost.
Like, did the planes crash on the carrier or
And into the water.
It must have been very brutal to see.
Yeah. Yeah, when they come in, they had a resting hook.
Yeah, I know. You got the resting hook.
So they come in, catch that cable, and sometimes the cable they wouldn't quite hook it, or of course maybe the engine flare out something,
Mm-hmm.
and then it would not make it.
Yeah, my dad's friend, he served in the Navy, and before, like 2 weeks before he was supposed to come home, he collided with another jet off the coast of San Diego. And yeah, my dad was gonna go in the military military Navy, I don't know, but he was gonna go in, but he decided not to. But I mean, it's sad that he lost a friend, but at least he served our country.
Yeah.
So did your carrier help with like the the planes on your carrier? Did they help with like supporting the troops?
Oh yeah. And see, I want to mention when the president at that time was President Nixon,
Mm-hmm.
and of course he got impeached later, but
Yeah.
But he said because they fiddle-daddled around.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to have to call in their strikes before they hit. That was dumb. But then Nixon said bomb Hanoi, and we had the Enterprise and the Riscony. Do you remember the Riscony? That was like CVA 39, and it sunk, and they sunk it off of Pensacola here about 6 years ago for artificial reef. And then the Midway, it was CVA 41.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, they were straight deck, like you said, the Wasp, but then they took the Riscony and the Midway into dry dock and put an angled deck on, for, where they shoot off and come on at the same time, And, yeah, we bombed Hanoi. I got pictures in that book of where the hangar bay was full of bombs. So we had 12 on and 12 off. That's like you work 12-hour shift, then you go to bed, you get up, and there's unwrapping, and that's bringing supplies on from another ship. They pull alongside, like maybe 100 feet apart, and they'd shoot this ball of rope, and boom, and then they'd pull the cable across through their ship and bombs across, and it was a lot of bombs, more bombs than missiles at that time. And then we had 2,000 pounders too, bombs.
Those must have weighed pretty heavy.
Yeah, a ton.
How did it take a lot of people to push, or I know they have to put it on a.
Believe it or not, they had a little cart.
Yeah, a little cart. That's what.
And it had brakes. You had a lever. It was neat. I'd like to have one because it had brake shoes just like a car, drums and everything. And you put that on there. It rode pretty easy because they didn't have dirt. It's all metal. It rode like a baby, man. And you had to have a brakes because if the ship rocked, you lose it. But you.
Did you ever have to worry about tsunamis or typhoons?
Oh yeah, but they take the ship out to sea because if they're tied into port, it'll beat it to death. But you go out to sea and face it. And it was 90 feet from the flight deck to the water, and there was waves that would come over the top of the deck, the flight deck.
Oh my God.
Oh, it rocks you. They'll things like that. Of course, they take all jets are either in the hangar bay, and if the ones that are crippled are in the hangar bay, and the ones that could fly off, they fly off to because at that time we had Clark Air Force Base, which was closed because of that volcano.
Yeah. Huh.
So, I'd like to mention we had the A6 Corsair. Then we had the A7. That was it could be either, and we had these pods on the A7s. They would shoot. They had it's been 50 years now, but I think 10 barrels, and they'd rotate because if it shot the same barrel all the time, it'd melt the barrel. Because it's 20 millimeter shell, that come out of that big one.
Was it kind of like a minigun or no?
Oh no, it was a big pod. It was long. Okay. And it's 12 foot long, and it was all you didn't see the guns. It was all covered in metal. But on the end, these little barrels. It was big enough for that 20 millimeter, And they'd rotate so it wouldn't melt the barrels,
Did your ship ever see anything on radar that was unexplained?
Oh yeah, and see, the Vietcong would bring ships out. One time, one dared the Ranger. We was going in the water, and he dared the Ranger, and of course they went to general quarters, and they hit that ship because it pulled in front of the. Because it takes a mile to turn it. A carrier.
Yeah.
It takes 1 mile to turn either way, and that ship crawled in front of the Ranger.
It sounds like what happened with Kennedy, because his PT boat went in front of a Japanese destroyer and got split in half. Yep. But they didn't catch anything in the air that's unexplained. They thought it was a plane or.
We didn't have it, but the Midway carrier had MiGs come out, and they had to shoot them down off from the Midway. We didn't have that. But see, at one time, most of the time there was about 5 carriers over there, and it was a beautiful sight to see the. Darn it! I just told you nuclear stuff. But anyway, when that thing had a square, the up superstructure was square,
Mm-hmm.
and it stuck out like a great big old tower in the sky. Because see, ours was oil, burn
Mhm.
oil,
Yeah.
and it was like tar.
Hmm.
When we shut that door,
It's fine if you if you want to, you can go ahead and do it.
yeah, because she's barking, she's gonna ruin that taste. Dickie, shut up. But see, we had our catapult for steam, and now they're more hydraulic now.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Like, you're the first Vietnam veteran I've ever interviewed. I've interviewed 45 World War II veterans and 2 Pearl Harbor survivors and 6 Korean War veterans. I mean, I know World War II veterans are not around as much.
There are a few.
There's one here, living here at Bass Lake.
There's one over here, I think, Charlie Johnson.
Oh, yeah, I know who Charles Johnson is. He's a
Okay,
great guy.
That's good. That's because I can tell you, I know. Because I didn't know he was in the Navy till here about a month ago. I told him about that, and he told me. But see, back then, I was 18 years old when I got on the ship. Then I could turn 19, and you had a little hole like that. And that's where I went down in the magazine, because my general quarters was down in the magazine, because our job, there was only about 3 of us down there, but our job was to send the pieces up so the guys can hurry up and assemble a missile together. Because they're not together. They don't put them together until they're needed, because they don't want to have no trouble. Because they, like if you rub your head like that and touch that, they call it an umbilical cord that plugs into the aircraft.
Yeah.
And if you rub your hair and touch that cord, that static will set that missile off.
Ooh.
And that's why when they hook up the umbilical cord to the aircraft, they make sure there's no static electricity. They run that machine to make sure there's no static, because if they plug it in,
Oh, that must.
and that happened on the Forstall, if you ever,
I know the Forstall, yeah.
it had a missile fire off.
Oh no, that's not good at all. Did you ever go on the honor flight?
You know, airplane? No.
You don't like airplanes?
Well, I wanted. Well, my brother's in Vietnam, and he was in the army.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on leave, and I wanted to take leave and go see him, but they wouldn't let us get together. They declined our jet, I wanted to go see him, but they wouldn't let us get together.
Well, if you don't know what I'm talking about, the honor flight is a program where they send Vietnam, Korean.
Oh yeah, no, I never got on that. No.
You should try it out sometime. I mean, a lot of veterans I met, they've been on it, says it's amazing. I've been to DC.
I didn't know.
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
I mean, just too much walking for me killed me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a really nice program. They do that, and I'm proud they do stuff like that. And
Well, I'm glad you know Charlie Johnson. He's a nice guy. He's a really nice, super nice guy.
yeah, he's a really nice guy. I don't know how long I've known him since, probably 2017.
Oh wow.
But yeah, I look everywhere for World War II veterans.
I think when I seen the other day, he's 94 years old.
Who is?
Charlie, 94.
I thought he was 96.
Okay, well.
Because he was on the USS Colorado.
Yeah, right. He told me that. Right. Oh, yeah.
I've met a lot of guys who are in the Navy, but not a lot of people on battleships. So Colorado was one, and then New Mexico was one.
See, I got pictures somewhere, not in the book, but I got pictures. Our bunk was just a little bunk about like this, and this would be a locker. And you put all your valuables there, and if they ever respected you, of course you didn't want to leave your locker unlocked, because you come back, all your valuables would be gone.
Oh, yeah.
People, it's not the honor system, believe me. But it's a little. That's what I like to have bottom one, this one, and there's 3 of them. But the top one, I never cared for that, so I didn't have to worry about it. I was always in the middle.
Interesting, very interesting. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time for me to come out and interview you. All right, thank you so much.
Could I share one